Hey, we're here today with Gil Cypret, one of our newest Arizona drag racing legends. Gil has got a great background in a lot of things, but he's number one. He was a racer, and he had a lot of fun racing back in the '60s. And he, did it with a group of people that were, I'm sure, a big group, like great characters and a lot of fun people to be around. But so tell me about where you're from originally.
Meadville, Pennsylvania. We came out here, like Buddy and we came out here in 1947, I believe, Litchfield Park. My father got a job at Reynolds Aluminum, 35th Avenue, but we lived in Goodyear, so we had a friend that'd take him back and forth all the time. Then we moved up to 35th Avenue in Van Buren. We lived there for a while and went to start a school there, and I tell the story and I tell it again. The first time we lived at Thomas Road and 35th Avenue, and I saw the Moneyol's car down 35th Avenue on a flat trailer. That got our interest, me and my brother. And then got a job at Childers Buick, and I met Carl Grimes, and because he was buying parts, and he was a Buick guy, as you know. So we ended up becoming friends with him, and I bought his racing operation and got involved with that. And we started out with another gentleman who became a Kenny Jones. No one will remember that name. He was a upholsterer, a worker like things. We got his Buick motor and put it into a little car we built, Crosley. Then we put the same thing into Carl Grimes' car with his help, his Roadster I bought. And I was doing all the driving then. But then in 1960, I want to say 63 or 64, someone told me about the Sefton gentleman. Oh, go backwards a little bit. We got Tommy Ivo's 4-engine car in a showroom there, and I got pictures in the car. I told somebody earlier, the first time I saw that picture, just the other day, 50-some years later, my daughter found it on the internet. Anyway, I'm 22 or 23 years old, and I'm working for $600 a month or whatever it was. Wasn't very much. And I went down to the Sefton Hotel after he drowned, and I met his wife. And I asked her, and she was kind of hesitant. So I said, can I, she took me out back, and there it was behind his hotel. He had a big blue tarp around all this stuff, and there was a car, there was engines, there was parts, there was an injector system there, all this stuff. I just couldn't get over it. There's just so much. So I said, well, would you like to sell it? She said, yeah, I don't know what to do with it. I said, well, I've gathered up $5,000. If you would accept that, I would be happy to take this. She said, I just don't know. So I put the money out on the table, and okay. So we were in the goddamn Chrysler business right away.
That was a considerable money back then too.
That was a considerable bunch of money, but I think it was well worth it. We bought, and I didn't know that thing was a lead sled, and I wish I knew where the car went, but I can tell you where the motor went. Gary Rickard, my brother, Huey Wilson, who worked for the welding company, Arizona Welding Company, and a kid by the name of Gary Johnson, who was building race cars for Manzanita, got together and they made this car. And I tell a story about we had to try it out, and there's a picture over there. So they took it out on 67th Avenue and up to about 120, 130. Here comes the police. We got a picture over there getting a ticket at 125 miles an hour with a 64 police car. So that got us into the drag racing business, and we had a little bit better equipment than Buddy, and that how it progressed from there. We built another car with the power car. We had very few sponsors. No one had any money. Luckily, at that time, the guy I worked for was named Dallas Smith Service. He unloaded all the cars off the railhead here in town. Everybody knew about it. So I hired my brother, Huey Wilson, and what's his name? The other kid was driving the car for a while. And so we all had pretty good jobs. I was making pretty good money at that time. I'm 23 years old and make about 20 grand a year. So they transferred me to Whittier, California, where we had a big operation, 88, and I was in charge of all the cars from, after the mechanics, then they used to put paraffin on the cars, you know what that was. We had to get that paraffin with a protective coating they used to put on cars. And we had to take all that off, then we had to make them ready, had to get them ready for the dealership. And for $30 a dealer could leave his car with us. We had a test track. And it was very, very successful. He was very successful. And that gave me the money to buy the parts. So the car was over here and you and him were here. I should go back. We originally went to the Guzik's. His father, we'd go up to their house at night every Monday or so, and he would order our parts for next week. And that went on for a while until I got moved to California. Then I would get instructions to go to Mickey Thompson to pick up parts, and I either had to ship them or I had to put in the car and drive back on a Friday night late, which I've done many times. At that time I bought a 1963 Pontiac 4-speed. Oh man, it was a beautiful thing. It cost, because we were in a business, it cost me $1,700.
Wow. Got a lot of money.
A whole lot of money. So that's what propelled us into the getting the racing business going. I mean, dragster business. And we were fortunate and had the right group of people with us. And we learned a lot from Staniger, who, in fact, we rented their shop where he used to be at 102 East Buchanan, I think it was. I rented his shop when he moved someplace else, and we ran the car out of there. And it was going good for a while. I think we won the 1964 NHRA Regionals here in Arizona. We did that. We won a grand total of, we did make 207 miles an hour and 7.93 seconds, something like that. Ooh, that was big. That was going pretty strong.
And what class is this?
Well, this is what's so unique. It wasn't a 454, it was 392. It was a 331 Chrysler.
Okay.
Small block. Back in those days, they had so many people show up, as Buddy would say, we had A, B, and C class Chrysler. Like at Long Beach, you could be there and there'd be 30 or 40 cars. I mean, that's how many there were. And you didn't like that track, go to another track. And the track I remember from Mickey Thompson was the one in Etiwanda, out on Etiwanda Boulevard. And we were there one time, and my brother was kind of a crazy driver, as people, they call him. Well, everybody's laughing. The wheel came off the front of the car at about 180 miles an hour. You would think you'd get out of it, and he did. He just stayed in it and went out in the fields where he was out. Mm-hmm. And it turned over, and he's laying on the side. And Buddy and Thompson's on his little motor scooter. He gets out there, and my brother's man, he's, "You okay?" And Billy says, "How fast did I go?" And he said, "Out!" And we were never allowed to go back in there again. We kind of fell out of favor with Mickey. But he was a great guy. I mean, him and his wife both. So that's how we got started. I guess I started in it when I got early on, because I was a gearhead anyway, working for Children's Buick, and that led us, I only went to Perryville twice, but we did a lot of Beeline Dragway and Phoenix Dragway out there on Grand Avenue. Mel Larson's, that was one of our favorites, and we'd go any place they'd probably pay us. And for a while there, we did get some pay, and I think winning those regionals in 1964, I think we got $750. So that's, that was a big thing. But after, like Buddy, after we were doing really good, and then we got in 1966, I think it was, or 67, we're trying to get ready for the nationals here, regionals, and we put a B&M hydro in this thing, but we never got to try it out. And what happened was my brother put that thing through the fence, and I think that pretty well ended my end of it. My brother went to California and drove for the Over the Hill gang for a couple times, but that kind of and I was at it for a long time, till one day his father, Mr. Guzik, called in the 70s, and that's the first time I went to drag race and saw engines in the back, which when I took a couple runs in that fueler of ours, I was scared because I couldn't see the driveway. What is in the Roadster and all them little cars, I didn't know, big deal, right? But that scared the hell out of me. So I didn't want to do any more of that. My brother was the wheel behind that. And I went on to start a company, me and my brother, start Chemco Industries, which we sold out to Indicator Hoover Company. We had some patents there. Then I got into the distribution business, or I sell, even today, I got a company called Liquidation Center. We sell tools of all mansions. got 28,000 square foot building of tools, tarps, paint, that kind of thing, and we still do liquidation.
That's your business.
Yes,
I've
sir.
heard of that.
Yeah, that's my business. We have a couple other businesses. We have the Spanish division, all of it. Yeah, and here even at 78, I'm still doing it.
So, 78 years young. How about your passion for cars? You got out of drag racing.
Yeah, but you know, my one of my partners, Dave Waller, we still have it. I have first car I ever really owned was a '54 Mercury. Got it from Jack Richardson. I mean, had no springs in the front, cut the wheel in half, you know, had 6.2. But anyway, I now have a '54 Mercury. Nice, real nice. Comes out only in the wintertime. And I'm involved with Mr. Waller. We got a lot of Willys, old Willys, steel Willys, blown injected. This gentleman behind, he knows all about those. But that's about as far as I go. I'm working, like Betty said, you got to go to work, man. We only work 6 days a week, so I get a half a day off on Sunday. And I live in an older house in North Scottsdale that needs lots of work, so I got a honeydew list as long as my arm every week. But I do follow drag racing. I'm very interested in all that. I watch it. And, you know, drag racing costs money. How fast you want to go. So consequently, I mean, they're going so fast now. It's you know, 1,000 foot. They're going what, 330 miles an hour? Well, after 300, I don't think it matters much. In 3 seconds, just seemed like why do you get dressed up for all that? Go through all that small thing, and they cut it down to 1,000 foot. You know, instead of 1,320. So it's a different area. Back when we did it, like he was talking about, you kind of brought you kind of ran what you brought, you know. And I can remember cars, his father's car, and those cars at Perryville. They, you know, them guys are just a bunch of good old boys. The guy out there with the flag. Now you got to watch that ticker go down. So it's changed drastically. My love for cars has not diminished. In fact, when I become I've informed all my employees that 1 year and 1 month I'm out of there. So then I'm going to get back into building cars again, or do something with cars. But it's just hard right now. I mean, it takes all I can do. Today's conditions with the covert, like all that, and all we've been through this last year, it's been rough. And you got a group of employees you don't want to let go, so you pay them.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is the money you thought you had, you don't have no more. So it's an ongoing challenge. But what am I going to do? No one's going to hire me at this age.
I don't know about that. You got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge bullshit. No one wants your knowledge. I thought when I sold out to the Hoover Company, everybody wanted me. Well, a couple of companies wanted me, okay, but they didn't want to pay. And because we had 7 or 8 patents there, and everybody tried to copy the carpet cleaner. They paid me. I mean, I was making $50 an hour, 70, 67 or whatever it was, going all over and testifying. And one thing a man told me years ago before that, John DeVeris, he said, Gil, when you got a night, and I know it sounds crazy what I'm going to tell you, I used to dream it of at night. I'd have to get up and he said, write it on a piece of paper, then next day draw it, what you think it is, go get it notarized, put it in an envelope and send it to yourself, register mail, but don't open it. Well, I want to tell you right here now, if you open that letter in court, you will win the suit. They changed the way the patent laws are now. Back then and there, 2 out of 2 we won them, beat all the big guys. Hoover, being so stupid, they took so long to bring it out, they let everybody else go around them. And the guy that owns, so I was in England working for them, and who's the main guy now? He worked for me in England. Now he's got all the carpet cleaners in the world. He's #1. So it's another era. Every new thing, like the thing I'm involved with now, all these things to do with smoking apparatuses. See, we concentrate on a growing industry. We've got some patents that some big people have tried to knock on, and we're suing them. And if it works out, we're going to be okay. If it don't, we're going to keep working. Either way, we're going to keep working. But there could be a possibility of some real money here after, 70 years. You may get even.
So what I see here is those that there's all of your generation in 50s, 60s. Definitely, parts weren't always available on the shelf. If you wanted to do something, sometimes you had to build yourself, fabricate things, do things.
Oh, we fabricate. Yeah, we had good welders, but the parts were available. Generally through Mickey Thompson. And I forget there's some other guys we dealt with over in California, but especially when the blowers. And the guy here in town that did all the blowers, what was his name? He's still here. I just saw him at the reunion the other day. Oh God, I can't remember his name. The guy did the blowers. Anyway, he was right here in town. He still does them. But yeah, when you switch from a 2 to a 6, whatever it was. So you could always get that. We had some gifted guys. Yui was a welder, and he was a gifted guy. And so was Gary Reynolds. They were guys that knew what they were doing. So we would work, as you know how it works, all night long to get the next day. Then if there was a race down in Tucson, we'd run down to Tucson so we could race down there the next day. But it was a lot of fun. I lost my brother to in an accident. But life goes on, and we're here.
Well, you're a good tribute to your brother.
He was a good man.
Yeah, he was a good man, and your passion for being creative shows. I mean, that's your businesses, your racing, all that you've done. It's really amazing with the things you've done, the things you've experienced.
You sound like my mother.
Well, no, but you show. I mean,
God love her.
You've opened the doors. I mean, you've been. That's why you're a legend, because the things you did, your passion for the sport, especially for us here in Arizona, it's meant a lot to a lot of people, and you should be proud of that and the heritage of all that. It's pretty awesome. So I know Dave. I don't know Dave Waller personally, but I know he just moved into my neighborhood.
You're in the west side?
Yes, and I'm dying to get an invitation.
Have you
to
seen
go.
the garage he built?
I've seen
50 wide and 200 foot long?
The gate is always shut when I go by, but I'm dying to get an invitation to go see that place. It's just, I mean, it's got to be a lot of fun. It's passion to still be involved with it.
The next guy up will tell you more about it. Yeah, they're all those guys are in one area there, so it's I think about 2 acres of ground, isn't it?
Yeah. Without giving away the street, because I don't want to, but I drive. I cut through that neighborhood every day, twice a day, because it's a quick shot between 75th and 67th Avenue, and I go by there and I keep, it's going to be open one day. I mean, I see stuff. I see a dragster wing sticking above the fence. I see different things, and so my passion. He's another guy. I mean, the people you hung around with, the people that you had your interaction with. It's an amazing story, and the things you've done.
He was really my brother was really into all kinds of physical things. He was they had skis, the big burdock skis going 100 miles an hour in the water and out to Catalina Island and back. And Dave owned a boat. Dave was in a boat business. He had a drag boat. The War Eagle went about 160 miles an hour on the quarter mile. Balloon injected Chrysler in that. And so they were good friends. And when my brother was killed, me and David just kind of hung out together, and we became good friends. His family did the precision grinding. They had a big business called Precision. I forget the name of it now, but a precision grinding business for all the parts of Motorola, or air research and all that. So Dave had a little bit of money to do things. His passion was more toward boats. Ours was towards race cars. I didn't like going on the water. I seen too many. A couple guys we know got killed in that before they had the capsules. Not as well. Of course, a couple guys we know got killed in drag racing too, but not as often. And back in the old days, I don't know if anybody ever got killed in one of them old cars. I mean, they turned over but I don't think we ever had a real bad accident. We were only going 100 to 110 miles an hour, 115 miles an hour in a quarter mile. A kid by the name of Jimmy Simpson. He was out at Beeline one night, and he got somehow went off, hit the telephone pole and lost his leg. Well, I had to go give blood, and that's the worst I ever seen. And about 2 weeks later, I'm in Carl's car, and I'm shifting, and it blows down to the ground. It comes up and fractures my butt, and I thought to think, you know what? This isn't a safe sport. Billy, come over here and try this out. So he got in. And he got in that car, the dragster, the first time. He never let out, never ever. There's a big article about him, Crazy Billy. He would never get out of the car, no matter what. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, I guess. If you got any more questions?
Well,
what do you want to get into?
What I really want to know is that you've lived a lot of places, but this is your home, Arizona.
Well, when I got bought up by the Hoover Company, they did move me around. Well, first of all, Dallas Smith Service, which was at 902 South 12th Street, that's where we unload all the cars. And he got very big into, with General Motors and then Ford later, but we would get all the cars off the railhead, and he was from Indianapolis, Indiana, and he devised a plan for $30. Now, I was working at Children's Buick in the new car make-ready department, and I come up with a device that we could they would wanted me to turn back speedometers and take apart. So I said to Mr. Rayburn, well, why don't we, he said, well, unless you want to back that car for all night long. I said, well, why don't we just put a motor in and turn it backwards? He said, well, you build it. So I got a shaded pole motor, put a body, we could drop off 32,600 miles from 5 to 8 the next morning. We turned it down, so we did that. But then when Dallas Smith came along, they hired me to go there, and I worked my way up to the second position there. And he moved all around. I went to Whittier, California, Taggart, Oregon, back to Indianapolis, Indiana, and we did good till the union came and said, hey, don't touch these cars, they're good and they come off the line. Well, that's the biggest mistake. They weren't worth a shit. But from that we got into the car wash business. He invented a thing called a Hydrolane, and I had a couple patents on that thing, Hydrolane car wash, and I took that technology and just put it down to carpet cleaning and sprayed it. And everybody, sprayed it, agitated it, suck it up. So that worked out pretty well for about 6 or 7 years till they wanted to come along and buy us out. And I should have said no, but when somebody's flashing a couple $1 million in front of you and you're 33, 34 years old, it's kind of tough. So unfortunately, though, right after that, we just got the money and my brother was killed. But beside the point, that's, then you gotta do things maybe you shouldn't do when you're young that age. You got that money, bars and restaurants and stuff like that you wish you never would have got involved with. But hey, it's a learning curve. Now that I'm a little bit older, I can look back and laugh at all that. But
well, any crash that you have, or any like an airplane landing you have, you can walk away from is a good one.
yes,
Any business venture you can walk away from, you're still here. Those are
had one of those too. Yeah, you're exactly correct.
yeah.
I was in the Air National Guard, and we had a little incident there. KC-97 didn't want to stop in time, so. But it's you're lucky. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you wonder. A lot of our friends that I grew up with, and we raced with and went to school with, and I wait for Billy every time Bill calls me. I worry because I think somebody else has died. Or somebody else, and
I get that when he calls me too. We talk a lot, Bill Gusick and I, but when he calls me, sometimes I'm going,
yeah.
okay.
Okay. Who
Yeah,
did?
yeah.
What's the story?
Who did we lose now? But fortunately, we through this Arizona Drag Racing Legends, we get to keep your memories and share these things, and you're part of our heritage, and we really appreciate you being here and coming in today and joining us.
I got a metal filing cabinet next to my desk. I got magnets. There's all the guys that we've lost, his partner, David, all these people we've lost, and I have to look at that every so often. I'll look at it twice a day because someday I'll put my own up there, I guess. But it is what it is, and I guess we're just fortunate to be here. And I thank you for this. I don't know if I enlightened anybody but myself, and I probably forgot a lot of stuff. But I got a book here of a lot of stuff here, but it's hard to look at it sometimes, but other times it's not.
Well, Gil, as long as you don't see your own magnet on there, you're doing good. Isn't that right?
I guess you're right. Okay.
Well, we truly thank you, and thanks for being joining us today. And once again, Arizona Drag Racing legend Gil Cypret.
Thank you. Thank you very much.